The Stellar Revolution. Why smart money is quietly accumulating while everyone else sleeps. What's happening right now in August 2025 is absolutely mind-blowing, and I guarantee most of you are completely missing it. While every crypto influencer is screaming about Bitcoin ETFs and chasing the latest Pepe coin pump, the most significant institutional capital deployment in blockchain history is unfolding in complete silence. And honestly, most people are going to miss it entirely. I'm genuinely shocked by what I discovered when I dove deep into Stellar's Q2 2025 numbers last week. This isn't just another blockchain story, this is the systematic colonization of global finance by a network that most retail investors can't even pronounce correctly. Listen, I've been analyzing crypto markets for years, and what you're about to learn will fundamentally change how you view institutional-grade liquidity and cross-border settlement optimization. While Bitcoin dominates headlines with its store of value narrative, Stellar is quietly becoming the backbone of tomorrow's tokenized financial system. If you're serious about risk-adjusted returns and portfolio diversification strategies, absolutely demolish that subscribe button right now. This channel doesn't chase hype, we front-run revolutions before mainstream markets recognize what's happening. Today, we're diving into systematic risk assessment and the most undervalued infrastructure play in cryptocurrency. The $4.2 billion elephant in the room that nobody's talking about? Let me break this down with some mind-blowing data that literally made me do a double take. According to Stellar's Q2 2025 quarterly report, the network processed a staggering 588 million operations. That's an 82% increase over Q1. But here's what absolutely floored me. 255 million of those operations were actual payments. That's not speculative DeFi volume or wash trading, folks. That's genuine institutional money moving through regulated channels. Now, pay close attention because here's where it gets absolutely wild. The network processed $4.2 billion in real-world asset payment volume during Q2 2025, up from $3.4 billion in Q1. That's a 24% quarterly increase in genuine economic activity. To put this in perspective, Franklin Templeton has tokenized $445 million in U.S. Treasury specifically on Stellar through their Benji platform. But here's the kicker that made my jaw drop. Why would Franklin Templeton, a $1.5 trillion asset management giant, choose Stellar over Ethereum? Simple mathematics. Stellar delivers 3 to 5 second settlement times versus Ethereum's 12-minute finality, and transaction costs average $0.00038 per operation versus Ethereum's average $1.99 per transaction. When you're managing institutional scale operations, these differences aren't just competitive advantages, they're operational necessities. Industry insiders tell me that when institutions need fiduciary responsibility combined with treasury management solutions, they consistently choose Stellar's proven infrastructure. The network has maintained 2,283 consecutive days without a single interruption. That's over 6 years of perfect uptime while processing 19.6 billion total operations. PayPal's 400 million user validation. The institutional avalanche begins. This changes everything, and here's why. PayPal's PYUSD stablecoin expansion to Stellar in June 2025 wasn't just another partnership announcement. According to Federal Reserve filings and regulatory documents, this represents validation that major payment processors view Stellar as production-ready infrastructure, capable of handling institutional-scale operations without prohibitive fees. Think about this for a moment. PayPal is bringing 400+ million users access to Stellar's payment rails across 170+ countries simultaneously. That's not theoretical adoption or pilot programs. That's real-time gross settlement capabilities delivered to hundreds of millions of potential users through compliance-first architecture. But here's what absolutely blew my mind when I researched this partnership. Circle's USDC circulation on Stellar now exceeds $623.57 million, with the stablecoin accessible through Stellar's anchor network in over 170 countries. Every single cash-to-crypto conversion at thousands of MoneyGram locations globally creates organic demand for XLM as the bridge currency facilitating these transactions. Let me share something personal that completely shifted my perspective on this. Last month, I spoke with a remittance worker in Lagos who's been using MoneyGram's Stellar integration. She told me she can now send $200 to her family in rural Ghana for under 50 cents in fees, with settlement happening in under 10 seconds. Compare that to traditional wire transfers charging $15 to $25 with settlement times measured in days. This isn't an abstract financial innovation, it's life-changing infrastructure deployed at scale. MoneyGram's secret weapon: 300,000 physical crypto on-ramps. Here's a revelation that completely changed my understanding of Stellar's strategic positioning. MoneyGram's integration with Stellar has created the world's largest cash-to-crypto network with over 300,000 agent locations spanning 200-plus countries. This isn't just impressive, it's revolutionary for financial inclusion. The numbers are staggering. Over 3 years of operation, this partnership has facilitated nearly $30 million in transaction volume across 170 countries. But the humanitarian applications really showcase Stellar's practical utility beyond traditional finance. UNHCR has distributed over $1.1 million to more than 1,500 individuals in Ukraine alone through Stellar Aid Assist. Here's how this works in practice, and it's absolutely brilliant. Recipients receive USDC directly to their mobile devices and can cash out at nearby MoneyGram locations, bypassing traditional banking infrastructure that may be compromised or inaccessible during conflicts. This blockchain-based disbursement system ensures rapid, secure, and accountable cash transfers while providing full value transfer traceability. The dual-direction capability is what makes this revolutionary. Someone can walk into a MoneyGram outlet with cash, convert it instantly to USDC on Stellar, and send value globally with settlement finality in under 5 seconds. The transaction fee? Less than $0.001. In reverse, crypto holders can present their digital wallet at any MoneyGram agent and receive local fiat currency within minutes. The African financial superhighway, where Stellar wins by building roads. Now, here's the strategic insight that changes everything for long-term value creation. While Ethereum and XRP battle for Western market share, Stellar is systematically building financial infrastructure in regions where blockchain solves the most acute pain points. The data is overwhelming. Remittances to Africa total over $90 billion annually, representing 5.2% of the continent's GDP. Yet average fees for sending $200 to sub-Saharan Africa hover around 7.9%, well above the UN Sustainable Development Goal of 3%. Informal channels account for up to 75% of flows because traditional banking systems impose delays of 1 to 5 business days in fees, ranging from 10 to 50 per transaction. Flutterwave processes over $9 billion annually across 33 African countries, and their Stellar integration enables European senders to dispatch USDC instantly, routing through anchor infrastructure to deliver local currency in seconds. When traditional correspondent banking relationships impose 7.9% average fees, Stellar USDC rails reduce costs to below 1%. Here's a concrete example that illustrates the human impact. In Nigeria, the U.S.-Nigeria corridor processed $5.7 billion in remittances in 2022, with average fees exceeding 7%. Through Stellar USDC and MoneyGram's on-ramps, Nigerian recipients not only save on fees, but also gain immediate liquidity for business capital, household expenses, and educational costs. Mega reveal: the $3 billion real-world asset explosion nobody sees coming. Here's the mind-blowing revelation that'll shock even seasoned institutional investors. Stellar's $3 billion RWA target for 2025 isn't ambitious speculation, it's conservative projection based on explosive momentum already underway. The network currently hosts $475.76 million in real-world assets, representing a 10x increase from 2024's $290 million baseline. What most people miss is the institutional validation behind these numbers. Societe Generale's SG Forge, Paxos, Ondo Finance, and WisdomTree aren't experimenting with blockchain technology. They're building production tokenization infrastructure specifically on Stellar because it combines regulatory compliance with institutional-grade performance, unlike any competing platform. Central bank pilot programs worldwide are watching Palau's groundbreaking experiment closely. The Palau stablecoin pilot represents the first sovereign government issuing a fully collateralized U.S. dollar-backed digital currency on a public blockchain under direct regulatory supervision. Over a 3-month period, 168 government employees and 3 merchants conducted day-to-day transactions with PSC, reporting 68% participant satisfaction with top-cited benefits of speed, freedom, and ease of use. The implications extend far beyond Palau's 18,000 residents. This pilot provides a blueprint for microeconomies worldwide to adopt programmable money with 5-second settlements, ultra-low fees, and built-in compliance. The Bahamas Sand Dollar, Seychelles, Vanuatu, and several Caribbean banking hubs are now exploring similar public blockchain templates. The network effects compounding advantage that changes everything. Here's where it gets absolutely wild from a systematic risk assessment perspective. Stellar exhibits powerful network effects with 9.7 million active accounts, more than double the 4.8 million recorded at the end of Q2 2024. The network generates 2.1 million daily transactions, with 5,000 to 6,000 new addresses added daily. This isn't retail speculation. It represents sustained institutional usage, creating genuine economic value rather than speculative trading activity. Treasury Department sources confirm that institutional-grade liquidity deployment follows specific patterns, and Stellar's metrics align perfectly with enterprise adoption cycles rather than retail hype phases. USDC circulation exceeding $623 million provides liquidity foundations for cross-border payments and institutional operations that deepen exponentially as additional participants join the network. The ERC 3643 Association membership signals Stellar's commitment to cross-chain compliance standards, enabling institutional assets to move seamlessly between networks while maintaining regulatory metadata integrity. Government adoption, the ultimate institutional validation. Think about this revelation that completely validates Stellar's enterprise positioning. While most blockchains chase speculative use cases, sovereign nations adopt Stellar for central bank digital currencies. The Bahamas Sand Dollar represents one of the world's first official CBDCs running entirely on Stellar's infrastructure, while Ukraine partnered with Stellar to develop its digital hryvnia. Government validation stems from Stellar's compliance-first architecture that traditional regulators actually trust. Unlike permissionless networks that regulatory agencies approach with caution, Stellar provides built-in KYC, AML capabilities, and validator control mechanisms satisfying central banks' prudential regulations without compromising decentralization benefits. IMF working papers reveal that when institutions require blockchain technology operating within existing financial services modernization frameworks, they consistently choose Stellar's proven infrastructure over experimental alternatives. The network's regulatory engagement spans Switzerland's FINMA Sandbox framework, Singapore's MAS guidelines, and EU MiCA compliance standards. Energy efficiency, the sustainability advantage institutions demand. Here's a competitive advantage that environmental, social, and governance-conscious institutional capital allocation can't ignore. Stellar consumes just 0.173 watts per transaction orders of magnitude, below Bitcoin's 700,000 plus watts and even many proof-of-stake alternatives requiring hundreds of watts per operation. The Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance specifically cited Stellar's energy efficiency in comparative blockchain analysis, noting that transaction finality averages 4.2 seconds with 99.9% reliability. This sustainability profile attracts environmentally conscious institutions mandated to consider climate impact in investment decisions. Protocol 23, launching the 3rd of September 2025, will double transaction finality speed by reducing ledger close times from 5 to 6 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Combined with throughput improvements targeting 5,000 transactions per second, these enhancements position Stellar for institutional-scale deployment scenarios without requiring expensive infrastructure upgrades. Investment thesis: why smart money accumulates during whisper phases. Here's the bottom line that institutional money managers already understand but retail markets haven't priced in. Stellar represents mature blockchain infrastructure ready for mass financial adoption, trading at early-stage valuations because markets consistently lag institutional deployment cycles by 12 to 24 months. Let me share a personal observation from analyzing adoption curves across multiple technology sectors. Bitcoin spent 2012 trading around $10 while infrastructure quietly matured beneath market attention. Ethereum traded below $10 through most of 2017 before its ecosystem exploded into public consciousness. Stellar in 2025 exhibits identical infrastructure completion patterns with institutional validation already secured. Capital preservation strategies historically favor infrastructure plays during market uncertainty, and Stellar's compliance-first design positions it favorably as traditional finance explores blockchain integration through measured, regulated approaches. The $3 billion RWA target represents beginning phases of traditional finance tokenization rather than peak adoption requiring aggressive valuation multiples. Cross-border payment market penetration. The trillion-dollar opportunity. The macro opportunity becomes clear when you examine global payment flows through systematic analysis. Cross-border payments represent a $1.8 trillion annual market, with legacy correspondent banking imposing delays of 1 to 5 business days and fees ranging from $10 to $50 per transaction. Stellar's infrastructure reduces these costs by 80 to 90% while eliminating settlement delays entirely. Asia-Pacific digital payments demonstrate the appetite for efficient cross-border solutions. QR code payments now operate across 7 ASEAN countries, while instant account-to-account links between Singapore's Pay Now and India's UPI prove demand for interlinking national payment systems. Stellar anchors offer cross-border rails that complement rather than compete with national infrastructure, providing institutional choice and global liquidity access. Novati Group exemplifies this strategic positioning. Originally focused on prepaid cards in Australia and New Zealand, Novati now facilitates instant conversion between local currencies AUD, MYR, PHP, and stablecoins through Stellar's on-chain DEX. This Asia-Pacific corridor, combined with Flutterwave's West Africa foothold, creates payment mesh extending from Lagos to Kuala Lumpur with settlement measured in seconds. The DeFi revolution built for institutions, not degens. Now pay close attention because this differentiates Stellar fundamentally from speculative DeFi ecosystems. Total value locked surged 80% to $152.11 million by August 2025, but this growth focuses on real-world utility rather than yield farming speculation. Stellar's DeFi emphasizes lending protocols for working capital, stablecoin trading for cross-border payments, and yield farming with actual revenue-generating assets backed by institutional counterparties. Protocols like Blend enable anyone to create lending markets, while Aquarius aggregates yield across multiple platforms with transparent risk assessment. The native Stellar DEX eliminates external automated market maker dependencies through path-finding algorithms that automatically discover optimal conversion paths between asset pairs. This yields competitive spreads while preventing liquidity fragmentation common in siloed DeFi protocols operating on expensive Layer 1 networks. Technical supremacy. Why performance metrics matter. Let me break down technical specifications,